Hey, Moosey. You know what I did, Moosey? I think I offended some people. I didn't mean to. I think they just took my video the wrong way. So we're going to try and straighten that out today, buddy, okay? Get these beekeepers on the right track to what Jason was trying to say. Hello, folks. Jason Chrisman, JC's Bees. If you tuned in last week and seen my video, you may have seen I stuck my foot in my mouth. Well, kind of. In last week's video, I suggested that the word hobbyist needed changed because you shouldn't think of bees as a hobby. Well, that didn't go over so well for me. I've been making beekeeping videos since 2009, and in no shape or form would I ever put down anybody that is trying their best to manage their bees. But the message in last week's video wasn't about bashing beekeepers, bashing hobby beekeepers, or demanding that you treat varroa mites. The message in last week's video was management, and make sure that you understand how much input bees need. And I understand now, looking back and taking a lot of criticism from last week's video, that maybe I should have pointed out my stance. A lot of beekeepers do not sell bees, and they are not dealing with new people coming into beekeeping. And here's some of these horror stories that I do. I've got a list of stories that I could tell you about people purchasing bees that do not ever plan to open the box. And that's what management is. It's not just treating varroa mites. It's being able to check into the box and make sure they're drawing out the foundation the way you started. Think back when you first started beekeeping. You got your first set of bees, whether it was a nucleus colony or a package of bees. Let's say it was a package. You dumped it into your colony, and I imagine you started feeding. Well, there's some that have no intent to feed their bees or ever open the box. They actually want to stick a colony in the corner of their yard, and they want it to prosper. They want it to do well. They want it to grow and get strong. And they really think that that's got a very, very good chance of happening without their input. And the video last week was more guided to these new people that are thinking about beekeeping. Not to bash anyone. That's just nothing that I would ever do. I know that 98% of my followers are very, very passionate people when it comes to their bees. And in no shape or form would they ever neglect them. I realize that, folks. But you have to realize that there's people coming into beekeeping that have no clue the demand the bees are going to require from the upcoming beekeeper. And I'm just trying to make that clear. I realize now, maybe I should have pointed out some of these facts in last week's video. It wasn't clear. But I do apologize if I hurt anyone's feelings. That was never, ever my intent. So, as far as the bees, really hasn't been a whole lot of activity from me the last few weeks. Just getting to where they can fly a little bit today. It's been a pretty gray week, really. Clouds and overcast, fog, rain. It's actually supposed to be raining today. I see got a few bees out here flying. Look, here's what I referred to a couple weeks ago in my video when you find dead bees on the landing board. Don't be freaked out. That's completely normal. All we can do is sweep them away. Moose, you're not the bravest or the smartest boy in the box here, are you, buddy? Come on, get away from the bees. Moose. They're starting to fly a little bit here. Here we go. You know, it's kind of funny. I started this bee yard, I don't know, about 6 years ago, maybe a little longer. And my plans were, when I brought it here, and I brought it from a farm that we leased up the road and then grew it from there. But my plans were to start selling a few nukes And I thought, well, if I sell the nukes, it's surely going to be a lot easier to have the customers meet me at the house versus some property away from my place. So I set it up here in this little side yard. The road's actually right over there behind those hives. And this bee yard slowly grew in numbers. And as time passed, I started adding a few trees here and there. And now them trees have pretty much put my bees in the shade in the summertime. And I'm starting to think, you know, maybe I need to move the bee yard. Oh my goodness. I really like the privacy of the trees, being that they're between my place and the road. And I've got some beautiful trees in here. We've got tulip poplar, which if you followed me for very long, ladybug, that's not very ladylike. If you followed me for very long, this just started to bloom in the last couple years. I've got 2 more tulip poplars there. There's another one down there. Now those 3 haven't started to bloom yet, but they will be following up with this one here real soon. A couple dogwoods, which really don't do a whole lot for the bees, but they are pretty. We've got some maple trees, or the taller ones there. We got some redbud trees, and I just really like the trees. So now I'm thinking, you know, maybe it's time to think about moving all this stuff. Oh boy, I'm gonna need some Tylenol. I don't know. It's something I have been thinking about. Whether I want to face the music and do it, that's another story. It has been really convenient to meet people here, but you know, I could easily go up here beside the pine trees and put my bees right down the side there. The only thing I don't like about that is our wind blows towards the pine trees, so it would be blowing right into the hives. Sure, I could face the hives the other way, but I don't know. And then, you know, you've got the problem in the winter. Pine trees gather a lot of snow, and when that snow collects on them limbs, they fall. So it would be falling right on my hives. So there's pros and cons to everything. Right out in the middle of an open area, that's kind of ideal until you're the person out there on a hot sunny day working the bees. So I don't know. I need to give it some more thought. But I've definitely been toying with the idea of moving this little bee yard. What do you think? What would you do? The trees have put your hives in mostly shade. I know from experience that small hive beetles prefer hives that are in the shade. That's not necessarily a good thing. The sun really has many benefits to it when it comes to bees and hive placement. Moose is over there grazing on something. For one, right now when they're getting sun, which they have to clear these pine trees. So this is east, this is west. So the sun comes up and kind of goes over my property. So it's got to get to where it's clearing that pine tree right there, which is, you can see that window's just now starting to happen. And it's 1 o'clock in the afternoon now. So we go from 1 to about 5 o'clock for it's dark, and that's all they get. So I don't know. The sun would definitely be a benefit because it would warm up the hive and the bees could go out and fly. They could potty. The advantage to it being in the shade is the bees stay cold. Maybe they're not eating or consuming as much of their food stores this time of year. Maybe they're staying clustered a little bit longer than the ones out in the sun. So I don't know. I'd love to hear your opinion. What do you think? Do you prefer trees in your bee yard? How do you go about controlling how much shade they provide? After a period of time, a tree is going to grow and the canopy is going to get bigger, therefore you get more shade. So I don't know what the right answer is. Love to hear your thoughts down below. Thanks for watching JC's Bees.